Those of us that indulge in or commit intellectual violence don't do so for the pleasure of mental masturbation or ego diddling. We do so because the chains of oppression on those minds are deep and difficult to remove. Good morning, my children of the sun. Welcome to The Open Eye. I'm your host and third eye optometrist, Patrice Gibbs. A little late, but getting it started here. That's right. Let me start. You know what? Let me get this out the way. A little loud there. Okay. Yeah, let me get this disclaimer out the way right quick. Okay. The views and opinions expressed on Open Eye, and we're going to get them started. Guests and contributors, and do not reflect the policy or position of WHGE 95.3 FM, nor our sponsor, the Delaware Center for Homeless Vets. Any content provided by Open Eye's hosts, guests, or contributors are theirs and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, company, or individual. WHGE 95.3 FM, The Open Eye. And as we have made a tradition of starting our show, every generation has its purpose. Ours is to reveal the truth and reverse the brainwashing. Yeah. I hope when you leave the open eye, your eye is open. I'm a Star Trek fan. And of course, one of the most attractive characters on Star Trek was Lieutenant Uhuru, okay, played by Nichelle Nichols. Now, as someone that had a question, if Star Trek was meant to be an idealized vision of the future, why is the only female bridge officer a switchboard operator? Damn, Hoss. Well, I have to take issue with that. First of all, Uhura wasn't the only female bridge officer seen in the original Star Trek, but she was seen on screen far more than Lieutenant Palmer or any of the other individual yeomen. But the fact that in 1967, a year before Dr. King was murdered, you had a black woman as a commissioned officer and in a position of authority on a ship, that was mind-blowing. Second, communications is one of the most crucial necessities for a military ship or a unit. I know this as a radio operator, as a communicator in the Air Force. It's a tremendous responsibility to maintain active communications during a crisis situation. And it could cost lives losing it at a critical moment. It's a much bigger responsibility than many that dismiss it as a switchboard operator or a telephone operator. Get the hell out of here. Third, she did more than communications. More than once, Uhura took over navigation and still managed communications at the same time. Casually dismissing the progress brought by Nichelle Nichols as Uhura is not taken lightly. I don't appreciate that at all. All right. You know, last week, I mentioned Reconstruction. We'll talk about that era a bit today. Conservatives sometimes accuse the academic left of ignoring the good in U.S. history. And emphasizing the horrors. But in some respects, the typical telling of the American story does not focus enough on the horrors. Okay, as I recall from my distant youth, U.S. history textbooks dealt with the run-up to the Civil War, then the war itself, then the failure of Reconstruction, before moving on to the Gilded Age and progressive reform. But the failure of Reconstruction, okay, the failure of Reconstruction before moving on to the Gilded Age and progressive reform was not just a disembodied fact, but also a planned and ruthless act of sabotage. Henry Louis Gates, whose book, The Stony Road, Reconstruction, White Supremacy, and the Rise of Jim Crow, effectively reminds us the period of history following the Civil War involved a violent campaign to reverse the social, political, and economic outcomes of the conflict. And this effort, which Southerners called redemption, was successful in almost every respect. With the defeat of the Confederacy, the federal government's enforcement of civil rights and voting rights was beginning to work a revolution. Hundreds of thousands of African Americans registered to vote and eventually elected an estimated 2,000 black officials at every level of government. The Freedmen's Bureau helped former slaves in matters ranging from land rights to education. Families divided by slavery were reunited. Workers transitioned into a wage system. The process was difficult but hopeful. The white South, however, was having none of it. A broad counterattack was mounted to undo the work of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. This involved a campaign of murder and intimidation to disenfranchise blacks, and the imposition of economic system, sharecropping, and convict leasing that effectively recreated the conditions of slavery. By 1875, just a decade after the Civil War ended, white rule was reestablished in all but 3 southern states. At first, Republicans such as President Ulysses S. Grant tried to help southern blacks through armed interventions by federal troops, but this policy proved politically unpopular and was abandoned. The reimposition of white rule was a bloody, unpunished historical crime. The depth of the reaction against the demands that the Negro have the right to vote, Gate argues, and the sheer range of racist vehemence and terrorism that arose to neutralize that right is stunning to contemplate. Between 1868 and 1871, an estimated 400 African Americans were lynched across the South. About 30 were executed in a single day in Meridian, Mississippi. Goddamn Mississippi. The killers, often roving bands of former Confederate soldiers, acted with total impunity. By 1890, Ben Tillman, who would serve as governor of South Carolina, was crowing the triumph of democracy and white supremacy over the mongrellism and anarchy is almost complete. Those interested in this period will find Eric Foner's Reconstruction, America's Unfinished Revolution, through more thorough, and Nicholas Lehman's Redemption, The Last Battle of the Civil War, more emotionally engaging. But Gates' valuable book goes further. He recounts the massive, seemingly coordinated betrayal of black citizens following redemption by every white institution. How the Supreme Court gutted civil rights protections? Nothing surprising. Okay, they're still doing that. How the scientific community justified white supremacy with bogus research. How white churches ignored or blessed oppression. They didn't just ignore or bless oppression, they were full participants. How the world of advertising adopted demeaning black stereotypes to sell soap, cereal, and everything else. How the world of movies and literature popularized the myth of the lost cause. Talk about that. In which Reconstruction was a period of carpetbagging oppression, and black people really longed for the security of the plantation. Gates is especially insightful in revealing how black people, after their constitutional rights were stolen, attempted to reassert their dignity in non-political ways. Booker T. Washington's version of self-help, or by cultivating the achievements of W.E.B. Du Bois' talented Tim, or through the artistic excellence of the Harlem Renaissance, or through Pan-African pride. Ultimately, Gate argues that Frederick Douglass got closest to the truth, that there is no path to pride and equality that does not include political power, particularly voting rights. This was the main theme of the NAACP, and eventually the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It is a tribute to the importance of justice as the first human need. The denial of justice recounted by the Stony Road was every bit as bad as apartheid, if not worse. I think it may have been worse. I don't want to, disparage or downgrade what our brothers and sisters in South Africa suffered. It was not just racism, but also systematic attempt to destroy through violence, threats, and mockery the dignity, political rights, and social standards of blacks in America. It was far worse than anything taught in history classes. Yet only by knowing this period can we understand how white supremacy became broadly accepted and sadly durable ideology of white America. And that's exactly what it is. And one of the things that wasn't mentioned in that I often point out is how successful black people were after the Civil War in building communities. And this success thoroughly frightened white America, We were building towns and making progress on a scale that, if it had been allowed to continue, would have made white America obsolete. We would have been in an economic position that we probably, as a minority in the country, ruled. Global African supremacy. WHGE 95.3 FM in the open eye. I'll get right with you. Let me take a quick musical break. Let that sink in for you. All right. Patrice Gibbs. All right. Hang with it. All right, brother Miss Ba, I see you. You're on your way there in Nsoromma, okay? WHGE 95.3 FM, the open eye. All right. What's going on right now, this is something that I'm going to deal with throughout the show here. One of the biggest misconceptions about African spirituality, and this is something that Sister Tracy points out, Sister Sherry actually points out often, because she has some critics that misunderstand her spiritual stance. One of the biggest misconceptions about African spirituality is that there is a belief in multiple gods. The truth is there is a belief in one creator. The different energies that are revealed are aspects of the divine force, which can be found in nature. Examples of these are Neteru, which is Kemetic, Orishas, which is Yoruba, and Absan, which is Akan. All right? People get that mixed up. It's amazing how some of our own Christian brothers and sisters have major criticism for those of us who have come to understand African spirituality. I think one of the biggest criticisms I hear is that you're worshiping your ancestors. No, we don't worship the ancestors. We recognize the ancestors' protection. We revere the ancestors, and rightfully so. Here's the thing. Jews, Christians, Muslims are the same religion with just variations. And you don't have these criticisms for them. And I watch Christians worship the prophets. You know, one of the interesting things about that, nowhere in the Bible does God revere any of the prophets so much that he names a religion after them. So who named these religions? Man. Jews, Christians, and Muslims are the same religion with variations. They are all Abrahamic. They all have the same source and the same sicknesses. They all believe in one powerful fairy in the sky, or sky wizard. They all believe in souls and hell and heaven. Their God is male. They are all patriarchal and seek to control women. Their books condone rape, infanticide, slavery, bigotry, chauvinism, and fear. As Dr. Clark teaches us, these religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, are all male chauvinist murder cults. They're literally the same garbage which has held human progress back for thousands of years. That's right, Sister Tracy. We give our ancestors reverence. Well, we should. And returning to our original African spirituality can help us win our revolution. Outlawed. African spiritual practices in the 18th and 19th centuries were associated with slave revolts. Enslaved Africans believed that the practices gave them spiritual protection. Reference the Haitian Revolution. Give up your Christian God, you are free. Major tenet of the Haitian Revolution. The colonialists enacted a series of laws over the years preventing traditional worship. Christian missionaries even went further by declaring all aspects of these traditions as the work of the devil. Ain't that a blip? These so-called Christian missionaries, some of the worst, most evil people in the world. All they brought us was brainwashing, colonialism. See, they were the front guard of colonialism. That's something we need to understand. What is colonialism? What are the basic assumptions and deference of colonial actions? Okay. Here's what their mindset is. The colonized are savages in need of education and rehabilitation. Ain't that a blip? These colonialists actually call people that they conquered, murdered, and raped savages. They're the goddamn savages. The culture of the colonized is not up to the standard of the colonizer. The culture of the colonized is not up to the standard of the colonizer. Let us remind you that the colonizer was a disease carrier. The colonized culture was not up to the standard of the colonizer. That was their mindset. And they were disease carriers because these people didn't bathe. They didn't learn about bathing and keeping themselves clean until they had contact with the African. And guess what? They've reverted. I have actually seen some of these colonizers on TikTok and YouTube and whatever bragging about bathing once or twice a week and not using a washcloth. Damn this thing. Damn this thing. Bragging about not being clean. But the colonized is not up to the standard of the colonizer, really? Okay. The colonized nation is unable to manage and run itself properly, and thus it needs the wisdom and expertise of the colonizer. Yet the colonizer has no perception or idea or understanding of balance, of running a society where everybody eats, where everybody progresses. I'll get into that later. The colonized nation embraces a set of religious beliefs incomparable to those of the colonizer, or incompatible. Okay, and we've already covered their religious beliefs, their male chauvinist murder cults. The colonized people pose dangerous threat to themselves and to the civilized world if left alone. And people actually believe this. Meanwhile, we watch the colonizer invade people who are peaceful, who are trying to run a society right, who are trying to take care of their people, which is against everything the colonizer believes. And they come in and they murder and assassinate political leaders who don't agree with their need for oligarchy. And they have the nerve to say that colonized people pose a dangerous threat to the civilized world. If what's going on is their ideal of a civilized world, we're in a hell of a lot of trouble if we fall into that belief. These people are not civilized. Savages. I'm talking about the colonizer. Don't get it mixed. WHGE 95.3 FM. The Open Eye. Stephen Leach said you could smell them coming. Jeez Louise. All right. WHGE 95.3 FM. I'm Patrice Gibbs, third eye optometrist. All right, keeping it moving. I want to thank Brother Jardé. I asked him to send me this last week. He had quoted it in the comments. The 10 areas of people activity. Nellie Fuller Jr. categorized the 9 areas of people activity. His colleague, Francis Cress Welsing, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, added the 10th. The 10 areas of people activity are economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, war, and health. That 10th one was added by Francis Cress Welsing. What happens in one area of activity affects all areas of activity. Racist white supremacists, by dominating their victims, non-white people, in one area of major activity, also at the same time dominate them in all areas of major activity, especially economics. Okay? And this is one of the reasons that I'm hard on those of us in the diaspora who want to deny Mother Africa. You're not paying attention. Look at Burkina Faso. Okay? They have joined with their neighboring countries in order to form a stronger front, a stronger economic front. And what's going to happen is the Western powers, in Europe, France, Britain, and their allies, America, and the Zionist colonizers in the Middle East, known as Israel, are going to have to take notice and deal with this. And then what's going to happen is as this ideal catches on the motherland, in Africa, more countries are going to continue to join in. See, what you have to understand is the median age of Africans throughout those 54 countries in Africa is 19 years old. These young people are becoming, how can I, conscious. What other word is it? Woke. Whatever word is it. And what they're doing is they're looking around the continent and say, hey, we're one people. One people are different variations, but we're one people. And where this is going to lead to is global African supremacy. And I don't want to hear those in the diaspora who have been denying Mother Africa jump up and then want to be Pan-Africanists. Catch on now. WHGE 95.3 FM, The Open Eye. I'm Patrice Gibbs. Hey, Sister Bessie, I see you, sister. All right. Good morning. Premium One. That's the name of that song. It's Premium. All right. Coming up to election season, I noticed that Republicans are holding debates and what have you. Something else I'm going to get into in a minute. And there's a lot of talk, especially amongst black people, and they're not going to be able to support Jim Crow Joe, especially as he continues to fund oppression throughout the world, specifically the oppression of the Palestinians by the colonizers, the Zionists in Israel. And something else that a lot of us aren't talking about, or a lot of people aren't, you're not hearing it in the mainstream news. It's the funding of the murder and the oppression of our people in the Congo. You got a phone? Unfortunately, we're participants in that. Because the mines that are bringing us lithium and coltan and cobalt, which are necessary for electronic devices, have become an integral part of our society and something that we have come to need. Isn't it something that we didn't need personal cell phones before we got them? Yeah. The thing is, the Democratic Party are losers. Okay. The Democratic Party are losers because they are conservative light. As long as the Democratic Party remains an all-inclusive, compromising, right-leaning centrist, afraid to give up their financial ties to Wall Street gangsters, and trying to find ways to appeal to racist Southern whites they lost decades ago, they will continue to be losers. The first thing the Democrats have to do is abandon its Wall Street ties and start sending these nefarious crooks along with their corporatist cronies to jail. Excuse me. Recognize them for what they are, the enemies of the American populace. They are greedy, evil sociopaths who wish to create an oligarchy with a ruling class and a starving, enslaved worker class. Either they contribute to the American society they have benefited from, or take their money and send their asses to jail. Stop trying to appeal to racist Southern whites and racist blue-collar whites who are too stupid not to vote against their own interests. Southern whites, who are the biggest majority of welfare recipients, are so goddamn stupid, dumb, and blinded by racism, they continue to vote for the right-wing jerks who can't wait to cut the very social services these impoverished racist fools depend on to survive. F them. I'm on the air. I didn't say that word right out. You know what I mean. They continue to vote for right-wing elitists. They are too dumb to understand that these right-wing elitists hate them as much as they hate black people. They encourage the poor whites to hate. The same goes for the racist blue-collar whites and lower so-called middle-class whites in the North and the Midwest, most of whom are only a paycheck away from the welfare rolls them goddamn selves. Most of their wages have been stagnant for 30 years from the time they were dumb enough to vote for the evil reverse Robin Hood Ronald Reagan made roast in hell and made a devil sodomizing with a pitchfork. These blue-collar fools continue to hear the dog whistle of racism and vote against their own interests. F them too. How can Democrats be winners again? The first thing is to stop trying to appeal and to compromise with these regressive right-wing groups that are nothing but backward drags. Stop playing softball with the right wing of Republicans. You know what Republicans speak? They speak the political language of kiss my ass. Okay? And those on the left need to respond with the language of F you and kiss my ass. Most importantly, the Democrats must take a hard swing left and update the social democratic policies of FDR's New Deal and LBJ's Great Society. Appeal to and benefit the true Democratic base, which is us, which does not include racist white who vote against their interests. Like I said, F them. You want to be victorious? Be progressive. It's not that hard. It's just a sensible thing to do. Yeah, I don't think Nsoromma going to make it today. Okay. Moving right along. Still got plenty for you. Let me get with this here. All right. As I said, the political season is coming up. Let me see here. Just comment from brother. Oh, yeah, I hear you, brother. Brother Jardea says, forgive both parties. Let's focus on making the black community win first, foremost, and always by any means necessary. F them all until that happens. I absolutely agree with you, brother, because we are not actually politically astute as a people right now. Okay? And we need to focus on our own. Have any of you heard of Lauren Boebert? I forget where I think she's from Colorado. She's a goddamn idiot. Ooh! Nsoromma coming in booping me. Right? Okay. This is a quote from this moron. She said, I know liberals can't stand this question, but why did Africans immigrate here if they didn't want to be slaves? Get out of your cult for a second and learn something, you moron. Why did Africans immigrate here? But Africans didn't jump up and immigrate here. We were kidnapped. The hell's wrong with this fool? Why did they immigrate here if they didn't want to be slaves? Who the hell wanted to be a slave? See, this is the stupidity that you get from whitewashed history. Yeah, okay. I didn't think Nsoromma was going to make it. He's in here setting up. All right. We're going to keep it moving. Now, as I said, the Republicans have been debating and what have you. Move along. Okay. Nikki Haley, the former governor of South Carolina, and I think she was Trump's ambassador to the UN. A damn fool, a straight up idiot. All right. She was in one of these debates or town halls or something that was going on. And somebody out of the audience asked her what was the cause of the Civil War. All right. And I got this article. I don't want to go through this whole article about it. But she gave up this lengthy explanation. All right. And she said, it was in New Hampshire. She was asked by a New Hampshire voter about the reason for the Civil War. All right. And this voter asked her, what was the reason for the Civil War? And what she calls believed the Civil War, the first shots of which were fired from her home state of South Carolina. All right. And she said it involved the freedoms of what people could and couldn't do. That's what caused the Civil War. And then she turned the question back to the guy that asked the question and asked him what did he think caused the Civil War. Okay. What's up? Oh, bring Nsoromma in here. Good morning, brother.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.
All right. Yeah, she turned the question back to him, to the man, and he replied he wasn't running for president. He asked her the question.
Right.
And then she went into a lengthier explanation about the role of government and individual freedoms and capitalism. And the questioner seemed to admonish Ellie and said, in the year 2023, it is astonishing to me that your answer to that question didn't mention the word slavery.
That's because they be trying to whitewash it.
Yeah,
exactly. And brush it under the rug and get rid of our history.
Yeah. And she said, well, what do you want me to say about slavery? And then she abruptly moved on to the next question. This Aussie from South Carolina now. See, what she don't want to do is, she didn't want to upset the white supremacists that she knew would vote for her. And she went on and said that slavery was the lost cause.
But the Civil War was because of slavery.
I'm getting ready to get with that right now. Yeah, I'm getting ready to get with because she tried to walk back her comments, a few hours later. But it was too late. You showed yourself to be a racist white supremacist that wanted to whitewash the history.
Wow.
We're going to deal with that. What caused the Civil War? Because
why never be no black people running for these positions?
Oh, well, black people that run for president.
Not many. That's considered thug black.
Joe, shoot.
Black.
Black to the core?
Yeah, black.
Yeah, they wouldn't last 5 minutes. You remember when Jesse ran? Jesse was probably one of the most well-known black people to run for president. Right? Okay.
He was kind of shaky too, though.
Yeah, that was the thing. Even though it excited some of us.
Right.
But what the white media did was, they asked, what does Jesse want? Well, damn, the man was running for president. He wanted to live in the White House. What the hell did you think he wanted?
Not the night.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Now, you hear several comments stating that the Civil War was not about slavery.
Right.
It was about states' rights. States' rights to do what exactly? Okay?
Keep you enslaved.
That. Yep. That's word. And for those that believe, for those who believe this and ignore reputable historians who claim that slavery was the primary cause, okay, they might want to listen to the Confederacy. All right? The Confederacy, who made their reasons for secession from the Union clear. They were real clear about it. The vice president of the Confederacy said this in his cornerstone speech.
Right.
This was Alexander Stephens, the vice president of the Confederate States of America.
Okay.
He said, our new government is founded upon exactly the opposite ideals. Its foundations are laid, its cornerstones rest upon the great truth that the Negro is not equal to the white man, that slavery, subordination to the superior race is his natural, normal condition. This, our new government, is the first in history of the world based upon the great physical, philosophical, and moral truth that we better than black people. Mm-hmm. The Confederate Constitution said the Confederate States may acquire new territory, and all such territory, the institution of Negro slavery as it now exists in the Confederate States, but shall be recognized and protected by Congress and the territorial government.
How come we as the black people didn't go after these tyrannical people?
How come we did? Okay, but you got to remember, we were outnumbered, outgunned, and outorganized. Okay, and when we did organize, and when we did build our communities,
right?
What did they do?
They came and burned and tore them down.
That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I owe you a couple boops too.
Yeah.
Boop, 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 boop. It was about 6 of them I missed.
Yes, indeed. A Confederate military officer said, this country without slave labor would be completely worthless.
Wow.
This is what the Confederacy said.
Right.
If the war wasn't about slavery, then someone needs to tell the Confederacy, because that's what they said it was about. That's what it was about. Don't get it mixed. Don't fall into this whitewashed history. That's BS. All right?
So how could they say or do all these things to us as human beings? It's because they never looked at us as a human being, so they don't feel no kind of way about hanging us and dragging us behind the trucks and all kind of. Well, that's crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Not only that, okay, do they not look at us as human beings, but I have to question whether they actually have faith in the religion that they claim is Christianity. Because if you were actually a Christian and followed the teachings espoused by Yeshua or Jesus in the Bible, you couldn't do these things. And you would be concerned about being condemned to hell. And they have no such concern.
Right. Wow.
That's why you cannot in any way appeal to their morality. Okay? You hear what I'm saying back here, brother? You cannot appeal to their morality because they have no goddamn moral.
Boop. Yo, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, getting close here, but I gotta go here.
Go there, bro. Go there.
I gotta go here.
I was gonna go.
I don't usually deal with celebrities. I really don't give a damn about celebrities.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But something interesting that's come up with a celebrity preacher.
Okay, what?
T.D. Jakes.
Oh,
yeah. Now, T.D. Jakes was called out by Geno Jennings. Okay.
Oh, Geno Jennings is my boy, though.
Yeah.
But he on his thing, too. Christian. I ain't a Christian, but he be on his thing.
Yeah. Well, he was called out. T.D. Jakes, and as Geno Jennings called him, T.D. Snakes.
T.D. Snakes?
Yeah. Okay. He was called out for hanging out with Puffy and them.
Hanging with Puffy.
Let me tell you something. Like I said, I'm not a fan of no T.D. Jakes. I don't particularly like Puffy. Never did.
Boop.
Okay. And so I've never seen T.D. Jakes in a video for more than a few seconds. Because I'm scrolling through some videos and I see him, I usually keep it moving. I have no interest in this
T.D. Jakes. Okay.
Yeah, I have no interest in, because he's one of these, he has a mega church. And it's all about
he
money.
just need that paper to pay that light bill.
The crazy thing is, people want to compare him and call him a modern day Reverend Ike. But you listen to Reverend Ike and you can't compare the two. Okay, just check out Reverend Ike and some of the things he say. He on the up and up. Some of y'all may not believe that.
Reverend Ike.
But the thing is this. What I noticed when I did watch this, because T.D. Snakes came out and defended himself against what Geno Jennings had to say.
Okay.
And as I watched him, I noticed something.
What, bruh?
T.D. Jakes is quite moist.
You mean he's soft around the muffin rings?
Real suspect. He quite moist.
Male booty squeezing?
That's what they.
Come on, cook for that, man.
Yeah. That's words, you know.
How could you sense that?
Just by the way he behaved. Because, you know, I don't have a real good gaydar.
You don't have a real good gator.
No, I really don't. Sometimes somebody will be in that framed, you know, in that lifestyle, and I won't even really notice until they do something really moist or suspect.
Okay.
You know, or mess around and say something fruity. And see, that's what he did.
He was saying something fruity.
Oh, yeah, he said something along the lines of, I can't make a difference and go back and change what already happened. What happened? Did you do something suspect?
I thought it was suspect when you have Mel sitting on your lap. I mean,
yeah.
What?
Kirk Franklin.
What Mel? I have another Mel.
Come sit on his lap.
Full-grown, blooded, 105-year-old male
you
sitting on their lap.
Can you imagine some fool came and sat on my lap?
I actually don't like touching males, period. I mean, you got, yo, that's crazy.
Big time. That's big time crazy. You know? And I had a friend told me she was a makeup artist.
Right.
And she was hired to do the makeup at the Stellar Gospel Award.
Okay.
Okay, that's like Gospel's Grammy.
Right.
Or whatever. Right? She said when T.D. Jakes walked in, okay, she didn't know whether he was T.D. Jakes or Iceberg Slim. Because he was dripping in diamonds and platinum and gold. Yeah.
No, that's what they do.
And she's working on his makeup, and she said every time a dude walked by, she messed his makeup. And she you know, messed up his makeup. Because every time a dude walked by, he had snapped his head around and seen.
Wow.
This dude is moist. And then, you know, he was asked about homosexuality in the church.
Right.
Is there room for homosexuality? And he said, there's room for everybody.
They can't see the snap you did.
Yeah, they heard it.
I mean, they put so much pressure on taking the warrior out of the black man that it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I can't believe how they promote there's no strong black male standing for family and not all of that in the world right now.
In our institutions.
It's crazy.
If they are, they're murdered.
Right. Or they so silent that they or
you know,
so
their voices are stymied.
Yeah.
So we don't hear them.
Wow, man, that's,
you know,
when will we
we're
get tired
not
of that?
the only ones.
Wow.
You know, that are speaking up on our causes and what have you. But their voices are stymied. Purposely.
Wow, man.
That's word. You know, and it's something. And I know I got relatives that are Christians and people that are in the black church. And so I'm going to take you here.
Okay.
All right? The importance of the black church. Okay, its historic importance to the African American, to the African in America, cannot be discounted. Okay, because it was one of the only places we could gather as a group.
Right.
The black church was freedom's incubator. During slavery, many of the black churches were stations on the Underground Railroad.
Right.
It had its purpose. During Reconstruction and the Great Migration, the black church was the center of our community and helped the newly free transition socially, educationally, politically, and economically. The civil rights movement was planned and implemented from the black church. That's a historical fact.
Right.
Now, with that being said, were our slave masters not Christians, what would we be?
I mean, how can you be a Christian beating and enslaving a person?
Right.
Them two things don't go together. I would
You're
suppose.
both praying to the Christian God, whose prayer is God going to answer?
Both of y'all praying to the same person.
Yeah. Both praying to the same sky.
Yeah, sky God.
Mm-hmm.
But, oh man, wow, that's crazy.
See, Christianity was indeed forced upon black people, as was Islam and Judaism. See, and this is a quote from the Bible.
But
When I became a man, I put aside things of my youth. Mm-hmm.
And what was that? They never said.
Well, that's what I'm saying to those that, came from a tradition of the black church.
Uh-huh.
We've grown past that. If you can understand that, because Christianity, Islam, and Judaism are all slave religions. We are no longer slaves.
Right.
Okay? Put down your slave religion. You're free. That's what I told you earlier. Furthermore, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, as I told you earlier, are all male chauvinist murder cults. All of them, without exception. When people conquer you, they declare war on your God and your God concept, and give you a God concept that looks like it benefits them. When the people accept the God that has been assigned to them by another people, they can never be psychologically free.
Wow.
All three major religions are watered down versions of African spirituality, tailored to benefit and their primary purveyors. Okay.
Jardel says the black church has been compromised.
Oh, big time.
I mean, black people has been compromised,
Yeah,
bro.
that's
you
right.
know, yeah.
Yeah. Well, coming to the close here.
You coming to the close?
Yeah. All right. As we know, we had this tradition. January 1st is the new year, and those of us that know, we know you can't have a new year in the midst of winter. But it is a tradition that it's a social construct,
right,
that we deal with. Okay, so I'm gonna deal with that. All right. In spite of the craziness, the ongoing oppression of black people, the peaks and valleys, 2023 was again a year of enlightenment and growth. There were people who treated me with compassion, showed me love and affection, and were very supportive. Thank you. I love you too.
Thank you.
Relationships are always changing.
Right.
Some loved ones passed on, rest in power. I gained some new friends and associates.
Right.
And I lost a couple. Some relationships grew, others cooled or ended. Well, some people are in your life for a season. When that season ends, let go. It's called freedom. There were people I intended to use. Forgive me. There were people that I might have effed over who may not have had it coming. I'm sorry. There were some people that I effed over that had it coming. I got your ass. Boop. There were some people who treated me with no regard or respect. There were people who were only out to use me. There were people who intended to F me over. You know what? Well, kiss my black ass. I saw people at their best. Yeah, I saw people at their worst.
Right.
I saw people display great courage, compassion, and true strength in the face of almost unbearable adversity. I have great respect and admiration for those of you that had to deal with that. There were days when I was a fool, but I ain't never been a damn fool. Boo! And I did some real dumb stuff, damn. Boo! But I made some really smart moves, yeah. I tried to maintain my integrity. Guess what?
What?
I can still look in the mirror.
Okay.
Yeah. There were major accomplishments and success as well as some disappointments. I won a couple of awards or a couple of accolades for my work. And being an eternal optimist, I view my failures and disappointments as minor setbacks.
Okay.
And lessons to be learned. And I leave it at that because I accentuate the positive. And I hope that's what you carry into this social construct of the new year. I'm Patrice Gibbs.
I'm Nsoromma.
It's Dope and I. And as we always tell you, destiny determines who enters your life, but you decide who stays.
Yeah.
Therefore, value those who value you, and don't treat those as a priority.
Who treats you as an option.
WHGE 95.3 FM. Dope and I.
Y'all got. Yo, Jordan, Steve, what's good? Safari, yo, Eddie, yo, Jan, what's good? Hey, yo, thank y'all for tuning in. Yo, you know I got 11 jobs. I was a little bit late, but you know, I made it. I heard him say how you think I was going to make it, but I made it. Hey, yo, hold on.
Hey, what I always tell you, global African supremacy is coming. It's coming. Are you ready? Because the world is a much better place when the black man rule, and rule we shall. Happy New Year. Peace.
Oh, yeah. And yo, tune in to Nsoromma, Mr. Gibbs, all platforms, streaming all platforms, everywhere. You dig? Come check us out. Yaga. Thanks for tuning in.
All right. Thanks for tuning in.